Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We have ourselves a jam-packed show today as the race to the Pac-12 men's basketball regular season championship is getting close to its climax as UCLA, USC, and Oregon are all neck and neck. But who will emerge victorious? And the Mountain West Conference men's basketball regular season championship is reaching its climax as San Diego State is making a late push. Can the Aztecs pull off the regular season crown, or will they fall a little bit short? Also, the losses keep piling up for the Lakers. But it's not all that bad, because one player will be coming back sooner rather than later. Will it be Anthony Davis, or is it Dennis Schroeder? And the Clippers are starting to get back together, but they're now in second place in the Western Conference. But can they keep it up? Also, one of the hotter teams in the NHL are the LA Kings, having won 6 straight. Are the Kings for real, or will they fizzle out as the season progresses? And the poor Anaheim Ducks just continue to lose back-to-back losses to the Arizona Coyotes after leading 3-0. Pain. Just pain. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for tuning in on this glorious Tuesday afternoon. I know it's a little bit of an earlier start time for me when it comes to this show, as normally I would go on at 5 p.m. Pacific time, but since I have stuff to do after this, then I had to move it an hour early, but that's okay. I'm sure this will only be for this week. So before we get started into the Southern California sports, I gotta get some stuff out of the way in terms of iSports Radio sponsors, such as Legacy Financial. Our first sponsor from iSports Radio is Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year, but staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're ever in a financial struggle at the moment, you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, or you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give AO a call at 510-928-2104. That number again is 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. AO and her husband Andrew are just 2 people on a mission to help families build a legacy. And if you want to, you could follow them on social media, on Twitter at legacy_uncut, and on Instagram at sims_uncut. iSports Radio's second sponsor is Mama's Always Right Media. Are you feeling overwhelmed with schoolwork? Those essays keeping you up at night? Don't lose sleep. Just pick up the phone. Mama's Always Right Writing Agency will give you quality essays, and they will always make their deadline. Sleep soundly knowing that they are on the job. For more information, call 626-653-3649. That number again is 626-653-3649. And check out Mom is Always Right Media's podcasts, such as It Goes Down in the PM. Make sure you check out the newest episode of It Goes Down in the PM. And also, a second podcast from Mom is Always Right Media is Coffee After Dark. Don't miss the next chapter of your favorite love story, because who doesn't love a great love story? Check out Season 2 of Coffee After Dark, brought to you by Mom is Always Right Media, where they will help you open your business from start to finish. And iSports Radio's final sponsor is the Sports Rundown. Are you a sports fan but have too much going on in your life these days to keep up with the 24/7 sports news cycle? Or maybe you are new to sports and want to understand the nuances better. If so, then the Sports Rundown is for you. They are a new podcast that gives you basic, professional, and collegiate sports news, stats, tidbits, and fun facts by the time you get to work. Start that second cup of coffee or finish walking the dog. Enough information to make you rich with knowledge involving sports while talking about current sporting events. And they will teach you something fun along the way, like about mascots, uniforms, history, feel-good stories, and sports rules. They even cover the Premier League. New episodes drop Monday and Friday mornings, so that's today. So come give them a listen. So thank you to our three sponsors, Legacy Financial, The Sports Rundown, and Mama's Always Right Media. And remember, Mama's Always Right Media is spelled W-R-I-T-E, not R-I-G-H-T. So that's Mama's Always Right Media. So thank you to our three sponsors for being the official sponsors of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports section. So we'll start with a little college basketball. So last week, I got to see some Pac-12 men's basketball hoops. And I was keeping a sharp eye on USC and UCLA, just because they're the SoCal sports from the region. So last weekend, I saw a pretty bad performance from USC. I'm not going to lie, it was very disappointing. USC lost to Arizona 81-72. They were pretty much outmanned from the get-go. But don't get me wrong, I will say this, Arizona is a very good team. They are a legendary program. Sean Miller is a mastermind. He has a winning record over every Pac-12 men's basketball team except for Oregon and UCLA. So there's that, and his team just looked sharper than USC. James Akinjo was just one person in particular that just stood out, and I think his name was Kerr Krissa, had himself quite a bit of a game as well. Just overall, it was just not USC's day. Tajidi did a great job, and Eric Mobley was great as always, but that was about it. USC needs other players to step up. They need that third option, kind of like how the Clippers needed a third option behind Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So I was very disappointed in USC. As a USC fan, I just couldn't understand why USC just played so terribly. I know USC hadn't been playing some of the better opponents, but they knew that going into that game against Arizona, they needed to win because their next two games got tough after that. But I'll be getting into that in a little bit. And then the worst part for USC's loss is that UCLA actually won their game against Arizona State. Now, against Arizona State, UCLA actually led for only 1.6 seconds, but it was enough because UCLA beat Arizona State 80-79. And they won off of a free throw, which was funny. But I couldn't believe... But UCLA did not play great. I'm just going to say that right there. UCLA played horrible. But they played well enough to win. And at the end of the day, any win is crucial in the Pac-12. So there's that right there. So that put USC and UCLA into a tie for first place in the Pac-12. So earlier this week, on Monday, I saw that USC played Oregon. I knew that USC was going to need to play their guts out, considering they cannot afford another loss, and they knew they had another tough opponent in Colorado the next few days as well. So I actually got to call the USC-Oregon game, and I was very surprised that USC just played so great. I don't know if it was because Oregon just didn't know what to expect from USC, or maybe Oregon had themselves a really bad night. Because it took Oregon about 8 or 9 minutes to get their first field goal. That alone was not good for Oregon. And it took them quite a while to get on the board So yeah, USC just pretty much dominated Oregon from start to finish. It did get to a point that in the second half, Oregon got the lead down to as little as 10, but it was no no worries for USC. They just straight up trounced Oregon, which is quite rare to see because Oregon's this powerhouse team. As we say hello to Larry B in the chat room, he says have a great show, and he says his infamous game time catchphrase. So hey, thanks for tuning in, Larry. I greatly appreciate it. So, and he also says fight on. So yeah, so back to USC Oregon. I was very impressed how USC dominated. The one player that really stood out, well, actually there were two, but one player that truly stood out was Taj Edey. He had 24 points. He didn't really score a whole lot in the second half, but he didn't need to. So here's the thing about Taj Edey. He's been such a great player. He's a transfer from Santa Clara, and he's just proven himself to be a starter for USC. And honestly, he just could not miss. He could hardly miss. Like, it got to a point where Taj Edey had more points than the entire Oregon team combined. At one point, Taj Edey had 21 points, and Oregon only had 20. That's how hot Taj Edey was from the field in the first half against Oregon. And then at another point, he had 24 points, while Oregon only had 23, I believe it was. It was either 23 or 22. It was 22. So either way, Taj Edey did most of his damage in the first half, which was very impressive. But another player that really stood out was Drew Peterson. Now, he came off the bench for USC, and I thought he was a starter at first, but I guess Andy Enfield wants him off the bench. So it worked out eventually because Drew Peterson had 15 points and he had 11 boards. So when you can get a double-double off the bench, you're doing something right. And maybe Andy Enfield actually knows what he's doing. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But overall, it was just a great win for USC. I thought it was going to be a lot more closer than expected, especially since Oregon really needed the win as well. But USC really took charge. I guess they got humbled against Arizona just because when they... And also, one thing that Oregon was doing that I kept seeing was that they kept double and triple teaming Evan Mobley, and that eventually got Taj Edey wide open, and then it got other players open, like Chavez Goodwin, Isaiah White, Drew Peterson, Ethan Anderson, you name it. And the other impressive thing from USC in that game against Oregon was that they didn't have Isaiah Mobley, who was out with a leg injury. So the fact that USC won that and just dominated that game was just pretty outstanding. So I gotta give it to USC. They really bounced back in a big way. So good for them. Last night, however, was a far different story. So USC played or they played Colorado at Colorado. This is, believe it or not, this is actually Colorado's last week of the season. Meaning they get a bye week next week and cool stuff. But this is Colorado's last week. This is their last chance to impress the committee. And boy, if this is really their last week to make one last push for a NCAA spot, then boy howdy, Colorado made such a huge statement. They crushed USC last night. I couldn't believe how poor USC played last night. That was the most atrocious game I've ever seen. USC lost 80-62 last night. I couldn't believe how bad they played. Like, they only led for, less than 1 minute? They led 2-0 at one point, and that was that. Colorado just stomped on them. It was disgusting. They made this guy named Jariah Horn, who came off the bench, look like Lou Williams or any other great sixth man that I know of or that plays in the NBA. Yesterday was USC's worst loss of the season. Forget Oregon State. That loss is thrown away. Colorado, the second go-around at Colorado, was completely bad. Absolutely disgusting. You want to know what the worst part about that was? USC fell out of first place. Going into that game, USC was a half game in first place above UCLA and Oregon. But unfortunately, Oregon's like a pretty far third place from USC and Oregon, or USC and UCLA, but I'll talk about them in a little bit. But UCLA won their matchup against Utah. That was no surprise because, no offense to Utah, but they're not that good. They're good in the NBA, though. But UCLA just dominated Utah, and now UCLA is a half a game ahead of USC for first place with 3 games remaining. I just couldn't believe it. Like, this is your biggest game, one of your biggest games of the year, and you put up that performance? You gave up 80 points. You gave up 12 three-pointers. You made one kid that came off the bench look elite. And that was how you want to perform? Yuck. But here's the thing about Colorado. I did not know this until, during the actual game. Colorado had won 5 straight over USC. And I'm just thinking, how do you lose 5 straight to Colorado? I mean, don't get me wrong. Tad Boyle is a great coach. 11 years in, he's got over 100 Pac-12 wins. He's just a mastermind. Well, somewhat of a mastermind behind Sean Miller and Dana Altman. But Colorado is probably the most underappreciated team in the Pac-12. Just because USC has had the spotlight with the Mobley brothers. UCLA started the season off ranked. Oregon always has high expectations. Arizona has been the juggernaut of the conference. And Colorado is just left in the shadows, wondering, what about us? And I think Colorado really made a point that they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. And I think Colorado, if they get their second half act together, that is a team right there that nobody wants to see. Nobody. I don't care who your team is. That Colorado is a sneaky good team. And here's the thing about USC. I think their second halves are starting to get worse and worse. Ever since they got beaten by Arizona, they've just looked so bad in the second halves. It's looked like their second halves went in the first half of Pac-12 play. They would always look pretty solid in the first half, and then the second half they would go complete, no-go. That's pretty much what I compare it to. I just couldn't believe it. And when you're playing against teams like Colorado, Arizona, and Oregon, you have to have a good second half. Now, obviously they beat Oregon, but in the second half, Oregon was not quitting. They were like, well, you know what? We're not going to go down like this. USC led by as many as 26 against Oregon. And Oregon got the lead down to as little as 10, but then that was about it. But against Colorado, I thought they were going to make it at least a lot closer. If they had lost by single digits, I wouldn't have minded that. But to lose by 18 is pretty demoralizing. Now I wonder if USC can bounce back from this. I totally think they can. Because tomorrow they have 3 games remaining. And then so does UCLA. UCLA has the tougher games of the 3. USC's games aren't that difficult, but if USC plays like they did yesterday, they could find themselves on the wrong end of the scoreboard. But USC plays at Utah tomorrow while UCLA plays Colorado. Next week is the crucial week. So USC plays Stanford on Wednesday at Galen Center in USC. And then UCLA travels to Eugene, Oregon to face Oregon, which is really crucial because the winner of that game will most likely still have a chance. Well, actually, no. Both teams still have a chance for the Pac-12 championship crown in the regular season. But it's crucial because I think whoever wins the regular season crown should get into the NCAA tournament. But that number 1 seed could also be worth noting as well. And that could actually be the difference between seeing Colorado and not seeing Colorado because, as I said, Colorado is probably the team that no one wants to face. And no one will be seeing Arizona because they're not in the NCAA tournament this year because of some naughty things they did. But I digress. So, and then next Saturday, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, USC and UCLA play one another at Pauley Pavilion or wherever UCLA plays their games. Either way, UCLA has not lost a home game this year. So USC will be UCLA's final home game of the year, and it's going to be very tough for USC because they've proven as of late they haven't been able to come up big against the big boy teams in the Pac-12. And that is very concerning because if they can't get past the big boy teams of the Pac-12, I'm fearing what could happen in the NCAA tournament because the NCAA tournament, all bets are off. Sometimes. But as of right now, USC is in second place. They are 13-14 while UCLA is 13-4, or 13. I think they're 13-3, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, USC is a half game behind the Bruins. However, UCLA has a very difficult schedule. They have to go at Colorado, then they're at Oregon, and then they're home against USC. That screams difficult schedule right there. And UCLA's kind of been inconsistent. I know they beat Utah, but that Arizona State win also was a little, especially with how beaten up Arizona State was. And then, not last Saturday, but the previous Saturday, they only beat Washington by 3. And it's funny because they beat Arizona by 14 after they trailed by 1 at halftime, where they missed 10 of their first 3-pointers. And then also against Utah, they just flat out dominated. And they haven't really had too much good luck against Utah at Utah. So there's that. But the Pac-12 race is coming down to the wire. And then we have to factor in Oregon. So Oregon just barely beat Stanford last night, despite Stanford losing one of its better players. So Oregon, I know Oregon's not Southern California, but tomorrow they play at Cal, that Cal to me is a trap game. That is a major trap game considering Cal has had some decent wins. They beat Colorado, so I could see Oregon maybe squeaking out a victory in the Bay Area. And then next week, like I said, Oregon plays UCLA. And then on next Sunday, Oregon plays Oregon State, which will be fun. The Civil War, so. And I have seen Oregon State beat Oregon, but I don't know. Like I'm certain Oregon will be back. So USC first and foremost has to run the table, and then they need to get some help along the way. They have to run the table if they want to ensure the Pac-12 regular season championship. Otherwise, that Pac-12 regular season championship drought is going to continue. The last time USC won a Pac-12 regular season championship was 1984-85. That's how long it's been. So if USC wastes away this opportunity, they may never get another one because I don't know. Oregon's has a good senior class coming in, and then same with UCLA. Now, I'm not sure about USC, and I don't know what Evan and Isaiah Mobley's futures are, but either way, they got to get it together ASAP. Like, USC really needs to win out. I think it's doable. I think they're most likely to win out than UCLA is, but you never know with both teams. What would be good for USC is if USC goes 2-0 and UCLA goes 0-2 before the UCLA game. So there's that. All right, so that's enough talk about the Pac-12. It is getting to be a very tight race. Another tight race in college men's basketball is the Mountain West Conference, as San Diego State posted probably their biggest victory of the season, beating Boise State in overtime. Now, I did hear that there was a little controversy, but I don't care. I really don't care. So, San Diego State, number 22 in the AP polls, beat Boise State 78-66, which is quite huge, because now the Aztecs are in. Surprisingly enough, the Aztecs are all alone in first place. But they have played 12 games, so that needs to be addressed. And Boise State has played 18 games, while Utah State has played 15 and Colorado State has played 14. So I don't know how San Diego State is going to be making up those games. I really don't. But tomorrow, I guess this is the last game of the regular season for San Diego. They play Boise State, so unless, of course, San Diego State gets some games, get some conference games in. But for San Diego State, they need to beat Boise State in order to ensure themselves the Mountain West Conference regular season championship. That is all that they need to do. Win, and you're the number 1 seed. And then I guess Colorado State is playing Air Force in Nevada. But isn't Air Force not? I don't think Air Force is in their conference. No, Air Force is in their conference, and then Nevada's in their conference as well. So overall, it's going to be quite fascinating for, depending on the race, the final push for the Mountain West Conference Championship, because Colorado State is actually making up one game against Nevada, while they also have another series going on. They play Air Force Saturday, and then Colorado State plays Air Force on Monday. So they basically have the final two, the same final 2 weeks as USC and UCLA. But San Diego State is in control of its own destiny. If they could play like that against Boise State tomorrow, despite not letting up, then the Aztecs have it made. But if they play like USC did last night, then there could be some trouble in paradise. So we'll see. We shall see for San Diego State and the Pac-12 as well. So, well, the Mountain West Conference and the Pac-12. So before I continue, I actually got early breaking news that I need to talk about as well. So when it comes to the state of California, I just got word that youth sports or high school sports will be able to play games, will be able to have some contests this upcoming week, and they'll be able to have outdoor activities or outdoor sporting events going forward, such as high school football, water polo, maybe some soccer, field hockey, you name it. So that is huge right there for the state of California and its high school athletes. I really am happy for the kids in high school, and especially the seniors. Like, once the seniors graduate, that's it. They don't get another high school moment like this again. So I really am happy that there will be some high school sports going on. And we will be getting some football games as well. Like, the most noteworthy one is probably going to be St. John Bosco Mater Dei, when they play on April 16th at the Bowl, aka Santa Ana Stadium. So that's going to be some fun times. St. John Bosco actually opens its season against Sierra Canyon. I think that'll be played at Bosco. I'm not sure. I forgot who's going to be the home team, but either way, it's good to see that some of these teams are going to be facing one another, and I'm really happy. So unfortunately, there will not be like CIF championships for like the fall sports, or the California Interscholastic Federation Southern Section Championships, for those that don't know what that means. So it does suck that we won't be able to get a football championship, but I am really excited to see Mater Dei and Bosco duking it out against one another, as well as all the other schools, of course, especially my alma mater in Newport Harbor. So there's that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, just because it is Southern California, and it is big news for all of the high school athletes, especially for those that pretty much have been that had a miss fall season. And I can only imagine how those players are feeling. And some have probably opted out to focus to enroll early, or just to focus on themselves so they don't get hurt and they don't get rusty. So there's that. Hey, what's good, Davidson Crooks? Good to have you in the chat room. I just talked about a little high school sports, and then I also talked some Pac-12 and Mountain West Conference men's basketball action. I was disappointed that USC laid a goose egg against Colorado, but Colorado is pretty good. But now that Davidson Crooks is in the chat room, you could definitely check out Fast Break every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on ICE Sports Radio. Davidson Crooks and Dentarius Locke do a great job talking about all things WNBA, NCAA, even some youth ball, and especially the NBA, which is actually a great segue to go through to my next topic, being the Lakers and the Clippers. So the Lakers have obviously struggled. There's no beating around the bush when it comes to that. The Lakers have lost 4 in a row. Their most recent loss, they got thumped by the Utah Jazz. Now, something I don't understand is when the Lakers get blown out, I know the Lakers have high expectations because they're the reigning NBA champs. But everyone needs to calm down and stop being dumb. Anthony Davis is out for 2 to 3 weeks, not 2 to 3 months. It's so ridiculous. Every time the Lakers lose a game, everyone goes bat crazy. But do you want to know what happens with the Clippers? Whenever the Clippers lose big time, nobody says a word. And do you want to know what happened last night? The Clippers got stomped on by the Memphis Grizzlies. They lost 122-94. And guess how many people made note of that? None. It's so ridiculous. I get the Lakers have LeBron James, the best player in the NBA, and Anthony Davis, and all those other talented players, and that they're the reigning NBA champions. But it's so ridiculous that I've never seen the Lakers lose a couple key players, and then everyone on social media loses their mind. It's so sad, honestly. I can't believe this. Come on now. Despite the Lakers' recent struggles, the Lakers are still in the top 3 of the Western Conference. They're third in the Western Conference, while the Clippers are number 2. There's not too much separating them, though, considering both teams have had their struggles, but the Clippers are starting to pick up some steam. The second half of the NBA schedule did get released, which have the Lakers having somewhat of a lighter schedule based on percentages. And then they'll have a lot of primetime games as well, which is cool for those that don't have Spectrum and whatnot. So, yeah. And for those that have Spectrum or all Laker games blacked out because of random BS and whatnot. So, there's that. But going back to the Clippers and Grizzlies loss, or the Clippers lost to the Grizzlies, the Clippers just got smoked. After the first quarter, they trailed by 8 at halftime, and then it was pretty much all Grizzlies for the most part. Tyus Jones, I've never even heard of this guy. Tyus Jones had 20 points. That's ridiculous. And then this one guy, Jonas Valanciunas, had 15 rebounds, and then Ja Morant had 7 assists. Kawhi had 17 points, and Paul George had 7 boards as well, so that's pretty cool. But no one really bashed the Clippers. I think everyone just wants to see LeBron just, fall, or they want to see LeBron fall flat on his face or whatnot. Davidson says Tyus Jones played at Duke. I'm not really the biggest follower of Duke, but that is a big deal. So thanks, Davidson. But the Lakers actually handled the Grizzlies quite nicely, albeit they were at full strength for both of those games. Well, they had Anthony Davis and Schroeder, but I didn't expect the Clippers to get beaten by that much. Jiminy Christmas. They got beat by 28 points, and yet nobody or hardly anybody said, "Oh, the Clippers lost." But when the Lakers get blown out by someone, everyone's like, "Oh, the Lakers got beaten. They're not going to repeat as champs. LeBron is washed. They need to make a trade." It's really annoying. As a Lakers fan, it really just bothers the you-know-what out of me. But I will also say this. The Lakers did have a 4-game losing streak last year. It was during Christmas time. They lost to the Clippers. They had lost 4 in a row. But they lost to some pretty darn good teams. And then the one game that helped them snap the losing streak was against Portland. And guess who the Lakers play tonight? Portland. And Portland's lost 3 straight as well. So it's going to be a battle of which team can break their losing streak and which team can snap out of it. As Portland's still doing pretty good as well when it comes to the NBA, or when it comes to the NBA standings. They're not as high as the Lakers, but they're getting there. Portland is 18-13 while the Lakers are 22-11. My only concern for the Lakers is that the Lakers are are getting some company from behind, and that is the Phoenix Suns. And Phoenix has actually played pretty decent as well. And the West, to me, is like wide open. Like, obviously, the most impressive team of the conference is the Jazz, and no one really saw that coming. The East, however, is a big cluster, as the Sixers are the best team in the NBA, but not by much. And then the Nets are like right behind them. The Bucks are still doing well. They're starting to get it together. The Pacers have been pretty solid. The Raptors, surprisingly, are still up there. The Knicks have resurged, but that's for I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later. And then the Bulls and the Hornets are pretty much the same. My biggest surprise is how bad the Celtics have been as of late, because the Celtics are 15-7, but they're only a half a game out of the final playoff spot, or the 8th seed. But they do have the same record as the Miami Heat. And another thing something else I wonder is that how come no one bashes the Celtics? I mean, obviously, some radio heads like to have bashed the Celtics, saying they're too conservative, they play it cool a little too much and whatnot. But why does everyone got to go after the Lakers first and foremost? Like, why does LeBron have to be at the top of everyone's list? Is it because he's that good? Some things I'll never understand. So, as for the Clippers, they play the Grizzlies tonight. I can see the Clippers winning that. They just can't play like they did previously. On Sunday, they play the Milwaukee Bucks. They're at Milwaukee to play the Buckaroos. And that's going to be a really great game right there. I could see either team winning that one. And then Tuesday, the Clippers play the Celtics, which that's another TNT game. I don't know who I want to see lose more. I mean, don't get me wrong. For purposes of the show, I want the Clippers to win, but as a Lakers fan, we can't really root for the Clippers. That's a sin right there. So the Clippers play the Celtics. That's going to be a great game, and depending on which Celtics team actually shows up. And then next Thursday, the Clippers play the Wizards, and then after the Wizards, the Clippers have the week off because of All-Star break and whatnot, and then, yeah. And then they've got 2 primetime games after that, so that's going to be fun. So the Clippers have a pretty daunting schedule so far, but it's not overly daunting. After they get past the Grizzlies and the Bucks and the Celtics, they get a little bit of a lightweight match against the Wizards. Not that I'm saying the Wizards are lightweight, but the Wizards were one of the hottest teams in the NBA before the Clippers beat them last week, so there's that. So, all in all, the Clippers are still doing solid. So, now for the Lakers. So, the Lakers, like I said, they've lost 4 in a row, but there is speculation that Dennis Schroeder could come back tonight. That's what I'm hearing. There is a good chance he could come back, but it's not 100% set in stone. This past week, the Lakers lost in overtime to the Washington Wizards. They could have won it had LeBron made the free throw late in the game. It is just so frustrating. Like, I don't know about you Lakers fans, but I really don't like seeing the Lakers miss free throws. Like, it happens every year, and I know, and one person kind of made me laugh, saying, think of it as honoring Shaq. That actually made my day. Yeah, it was pretty funny, but I don't really like seeing the Lakers miss free throws. It's disappointing. So the Lakers lost to the Wizards this past Monday. Last Saturday, that was another ugly game, as the Lakers, they didn't lose, but they did lose, but how they lost is beyond me. The Lakers lost to the Miami Heat 96-94. The Lakers lost to a depleted Miami Heat team in a rematch of last year's NBA Finals. Now, this Heat team is nowhere near as good as last year's Heat team. Obviously, the Heat had that miracle run to the finals, but still. I was very disappointed to see that the Lakers lost to the Heat. And for good reason as well. I think the Lakers should have won that. And one thing I wonder is that why did LeBron pass up the three to win the game and give it to Alex Caruso? Like, why Alex Caruso? I get Alex Caruso as the future GOAT, but come on, LeBron. You gotta take that shot yourself. And what's funny is that the Lakers actually stole the inbounds pass. They had no timeouts left, and then LeBron had a look at a three-pointer, but then he just passed it to Caruso, who took a long two-pointer and missed, which everyone lost their minds and pretty much laughed at the Lakers. It was stupid. I still don't understand to this day why people have to make fun of the Lakers. I get it's for good enjoyment and pure sport, but how many teams is your unless your team is the Celtics, which if it is, I feel bad for you. Unless your team has as many championships as the Lakers, I don't want to hear you talking smack. I'm just saying, it's just annoying. It really is though, because all this Lakers slander is just disgusting. I've never seen the Lakers lose one or two players, and then everyone just goes stir crazy over them whenever they lose a game. And one of my friends did make a great point on Twitter. He said, I just can't stand how, when it comes to this app on Twitter, that whenever the Lakers lose a game, it's the end of the world. And I still to this day don't understand. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was a house. So Lakers aren't going to go 82-0 or 72-0 in this case. So I just really think the Lakers will be fine. It's only the regular season. The postseason is when it truly matters. Now I know they don't want to see Kevin Durant, or I know they don't want to see the Utah Jazz, but until the Utah Jazz prove something in the postseason, I don't want to hear this talk of, the Utah Jazz are going to win. Because as far as I'm concerned, the Utah Jazz to me are the Peyton Manning, are sometimes the Peyton Manning of the NBA. They do pretty good in the pretty good, if not overachieve in the regular season, but then they fall flat in the playoffs. They did so when they had John Stockton and Karl Malone, and they did so last year when they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. Though that team was pretty special, with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and whatnot. And that team also came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Clippers. Sorry, Clippers fans, I had to bring it up. But as of right now, I think the Lakers are fine. The Clippers should also be fine as well. The Lakers are only a half game back of the Clippers, and as for the Lakers, their schedule gets a little daunting, as tonight they play the Trailblazers. I could still see them winning that game, but it's going to be pretty tough. And then on Sunday, the Lakers play the Golden State Warriors. That's going to be a fun game. But but in the definition of fun, I don't know if it'll be fun for Lakers fans, considering last time the two teams played, the Lakers blew a 19-point lead. I know the Warriors are still good though, but I know the Lakers can beat the Warriors. So my hope is that I hope the Lakers have Dennis Schroeder for sure for that game. He should be back by then. If he doesn't come back tonight, I'm sure he'll be back Sunday. So we'll see. And then the Lakers play the Phoenix Suns next Tuesday. That's also going to be a fun game, considering the Suns are right on their coattails in the Western Conference. And then next Wednesday, the Lakers play the Kings to end their first half of the season, which that should be a little bit of a lightweight game, but the Lakers can't afford to look. They can't afford to look past their opponent, and they can't afford to just underestimate anybody, because the Wizards were pretty bad, and then they pretty much beat them in OT. So, And I also want to say that the Lakers led by as many as like 16 or 17. And as Davidson Crooks has been saying all over Twitter and on the Fast Break show, no lead is safe. Like, the Lakers have to continue to play like they're playing from behind. I know it's been tough because everyone's been playing a lot of added minutes, and even players like Markieff Morris have been fatigued. Like, he's even had to take up meditating and yoga just to keep his mind from being exhausted. It is crazy. And then LeBron obviously plays a boatload of minutes. So there's that right there. And one more thing before I close the book on the NBA. This past Wednesday marked the first time LeBron did not register 15 points, 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, which is pretty saddening if you ask me. But LeBron needed his rest. He really needed his rest, and especially with how much he's had to carry the team. LeBron only had 19 points, and he only had 4 boards and 4 assists, so it really sucks that streak had to end, but I think LeBron would rather have rest than a streak of something. Like, the only streak that he wants is a winning streak for the Lakers. Like, I don't think anyone cares for, like, statistics. So, there's that. But we'll see how it goes for them. We'll see how it goes tonight for the Lakers. I hope they can get the dub, personally, but there's no guarantee. So overall, I think that's going to close the book on the NBA portion of the show. Let's jump on into some hockey, where it's actually been the tale of two teams for the Ducks and for the Kings, as the Kings have been the red-hot team as of late, and it's quite impressive. Like, this has been one special team, if you ask me. The Kings recently beat the St. Louis Blues on Wednesday 2-1. They beat the St. Louis Blues last Monday 3-0. Last Saturday, they beat the Arizona Coyotes 4-2, and then last Thursday, they beat the Coyotes in a shootout 3-2, which really helped them spark the win. And believe it or not, the Kings have won 6 in a row, which is quite amazing. Like, they actually are overachieving, and this could be something special for the Kings. The Kings do play tonight against the Minnesota Wild at 5 p.m., and then they play Saturday against the Wild at 5 p.m. as well, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Next Wednesday, the Kings play the Coyotes at Staples Center, and then next Friday and Saturday, they entertain the St. Louis Blues at the Staples Center yet again. So I'm really impressed with how well the Kings have been playing. Like, it's just been quite astounding. Like, SoCal hockey in terms of the NHL really is not that great, but the Kings are giving me hope. The Kings are actually, I'm not a Kings fan, I'm more of a Ducks fan, but the Kings are making me think playoffs for this team, and it would be quite cool to see the LA Kings in the postseason. They're actually third in the Western Conference, or the Western Division, as they're 9-6-3. They have 9 wins, 6 losses, and 3 overtime losses. They have 21 points, which is quite amazing. And personally, I think the Kings are overachieving. And this was a Kings team that I think they had the worst record in the NHL last year, if not the second worst record. Either way, the Kings have been really going above and beyond. And big shout to Pierre Moss, who popped in the chat room. Thank you for joining me, Pierre. You can check out his show along with Harrison Glazer on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, on the show that never sleeps. And they do a great job of talking about the Jets, the Giants, the Nets, the Knicks, the Yankees, the Mets, the Rangers, the Islanders, the Red Bulls, Rutgers. I think I've got most of the New York teams down, but definitely do check out the show that never sleeps. They talk about a whole lot of New York sports and New Jersey sports, so definitely do give that a listen. So, back to the Kings. The Kings have really impressed me, but here's the thing: can they really keep it up? That is the $1 million question right there, because sometimes the Kings do get on a little bit of a hot streak and then they start to go cold, but I'm starting to believe in the Kings. again, I'm not a true Kings fan. Like, I mean, if it comes down to the playoffs and the Ducks aren't in it and the Kings are, I will root for them. But the Kings are making me believe by the day, which is quite amazing. Like, I didn't think they would take 2 games against the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are pretty good as well. And the fact that the Kings are 1 point behind the Blues is amazing. Oh, lordy. And this was actually back when the Kings had lost how many straight? They lost 1, 2, 3, 4. They lost 5 in a row before they won their past 6 games. So good for the Kings. I will say that. I'm just gonna say that right now. Good for the LA Kings. So I'm happy for them, and I hope they continue to make Southern California proud. And like I said on Twitter, on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account, this team is putting not only Southern California on its back, but they're putting all of California on its back. They're the best team in California. As for a certain other team from Southern California, the Ducks have been anything but impressive. I'm sorry, Larry, but I gotta say this. The Ducks have been really, really bad. Ever since their win against the Vegas Golden Knights, the Ducks have lost 5 straight. Their past 2 games have been probably the epitome of pain. Last night's game against the Coyotes, they led 3-0 after 2 quarters, or 2 periods. And I'm thinking, okay, Ducks are going to win this game, right? I wish it was that simple. The Coyotes scored 3 goals in the 3rd period to force overtime, and then eventually the Coyotes won it in a shootout. And it's like, really? Oh, but it gets better. So on Monday, the same thing happened. The Ducks took a 3-0 lead in the 2nd period. It was early in the 2nd period. However, the Ducks allowed 3 straight goals in the 2nd period, and then the game was suddenly tied at 3 apiece, going into the 3rd period. And then the 3rd period, Arizona scored, and they held on to win. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, how do you blow a 3-0 lead? That is the worst lead for the opposing team, not for your team. Oh, God. It's disappointing, man. So, last Saturday, the Ducks lost to the Minnesota Wild 5-1. And then last Thursday, they lost to the Wild 3-1. It's been really bad for the Ducks. The Ducks are so bad, they are dead last in the Western Division, which, well, I can't really sugarcoat it that well, except that's bad. I don't believe how bad they're doing. I want to say they're one of the worst teams in the league. They are one of the worst teams in the league. They've only played 20 games, while some of these teams have played like 17, like Buffalo and whatnot. So all we can do is hope that the Ducks can get it together, as the Ducks play the Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Anaheim Stadium, and then or not Anaheim Stadium, the Honda Center. I was going to say the Arrowhead Pond, but it's the Honda Center. But it'll forever be the Pond, in my opinion. Don't change my mind. Anyway, so next Monday, the Ducks play the Blues at the Honda Center. And then they play the Blues again next Wednesday. Then next Friday and Saturday, they play the Avalanche. And then the following Monday, the Ducks play the Kings against one another in a 2-game series on March 8th and March 10th. So, like I said, the Ducks are 3rd in the Western Division, while the Ducks are dead last in the West Division. So, there's your little hockey fix right there. We're actually going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, I'll be bringing you some more college hoops action, and I'll be bringing you some college sports from all over Southern California, whether it's water polo, soccer, even some women's lacrosse. I'll be bringing it to you. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I A in the FBS. Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B, and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And you can check out all of our amazing shows here on iSports Radio. And you can check them out on several different platforms, whether it's via Spreaker, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you name it. So definitely do check out our amazing shows, and definitely check out iSports Radio as a whole. And once again, thank you for Pierre Moss for popping in the chat room. Thank you, Pierre. Good evening to you, too. Hope you're having a great day. So, now for segment 2. And I actually am very guilty of this news. I totally forgot about this news, and I feel really bad for forgetting about this news. This comes from the MLB, and this comes from the Padres. So Fernando Tatis Jr. signed a super, ultra, mega, uber deal to keep him with the Padres for quite some time. And I feel bad for not talking about this last week, and I should have, but I kind of forgot. But it is what it is. So Fernando Tatis signed, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's worth almost as much as Patrick Mahomes' deal. It's more than Mike Trout's deal. So it's really quite astounding. And it's a $340 million deal for 14 years. And it's the longest deal in baseball history. That is quite astounding. This Padres team is already loaded with Manny Machado and Blake Snell and all those other talented players on that team. But I will just tell you this, the Padres, if they don't win a World Series in the next 14 years, I'll be super surprised. Like, this year, everyone's probably going to want the Padres to win just because they want that feel-good story. Obviously, I want the Dodgers to win, and they have a good. And according to MLB.com, they're projected to finish with the best record in the MLB. But everyone wants the Padres to win because they have that underdog mentality. They've always been little brother to the Dodgers. They haven't won anything, and it would be really cool to see the Padres make it to the World Series. Like, obviously, I'm going to want the Dodgers to make the World Series over the Padres, but I'm going to have a soft spot for the Padres. And then the Angels, surprisingly, I think it was courtesy of MLB.com. The Angels are actually supposed to have the 4th best record in the American League, which is well, I'll say this: it's quite surprising that they have them in that upper echelon. That's because every year always looks like it's going to be promising for the Angels, and then it winds up being a complete disappointment. And if you liked my little raspberry, then I'm glad I could make you laugh. So, but I really want the Angels to actually win, make the postseason. It's been too long since they've made the postseason, and it'd be so great to see them get a chance to help Mike Trout win a World Series. It would be super duper fun. And I don't know why my voice suddenly turned southern, but definitely don't disappoint the Angels. Like, please. They came somewhat close to making the postseason, but they just lost too many games to the point where they couldn't catch up to the Astros, and the Astros got the final playoff spot. So, yeah, that was the thing right there as well. So, we'll see what can happen with the Angels. I mean, I want them to make the postseason, but it's not set in stone, unfortunately. So, we'll see how it goes. It's still up in the air if the Angels can actually get into the postseason. Like, the Dodgers certainly have a better chance. And I think when it came to like Fox Baseball or Fox.com in 2022, they projected the World Series to be the Dodgers versus the Angels. That would be a complete. That would I don't know if I could say this word, but that would be my wet dream in terms of the MLB. But that would be my dream team matchup. It would be great for Southern California to see the Dodgers versus the Angels. And it would be even great for Mike Trout because he would get a chance to face a team that he idolized when he was a kid. Because I remember he was a Dodgers fan. And no matter who wins or who loses, Southern California wins and I win. So, yeah. But I'm not going to look too far ahead. Like, spring training is about to get underway pretty soon. And then The season's about to get underway, I believe in like March or April. We'll see. And on that note of the MLB, definitely do check out Bases Loaded with Brandon Buckingham and Blake Henley, aka H-Town Blake. They just started Season 3 of Bases Loaded, and they'll be on every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You will get to hear Blake and Brandon talk about all MLB teams, including the Dodgers, even though they don't want to see the Dodgers win anymore. I'll say this about the Dodgers. They're not going to have that little, oh my god, it's been too long for Dodgers fans. They need this whole World Series. Wah. They're going to have a big target on their backs, and no one's going to feel bad for them if they lose in the playoffs. So, we'll see. But that's going to do it for the MLB gist of it. There's not too much to talk about in terms of the NFL, as there's no big time news. Tuesday did mark the first day that you could franchise tag some of your players. I just hope the Chargers can sign Hunter Henry to a long-term deal. I don't know if I've said this, but I actually cannot wait for the Chargers season next year. I think it's going to be fun. So that's going to be that for the NFL, the brief portion of the NFL. Now let's get into some college sports. And whoo, daddy, we got a lot of college sports to recap in terms of scores. So, let's start with baseball. I'm just going to recap the scores all the way from last Friday to yesterday, because as of right now, February 26th, 2021, basically there are games going on, and I don't want to report on the games that happened already. I'll just recap them. I'll just recap this week's results in next week's show, if that makes any sense. Anyway, we'll start with baseball, because baseball just started up last week, and I just made note of Bases Loaded. Also, Brandon Buckingham and Blake Henley will also talk about college sports as well. They're not just all about the MLB. They talk college sports too, so definitely do check that out every Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So anyway, on to baseball when it comes to Southern California. So last Friday we had USC defeating LMU 3-2 off of an actual walk-off, as in the bases were loaded and it was the 9th inning, and USC got to walk, which is funny. It was literally a walk-off. So I felt bad for LMU, but that's how USC rules, baby. Okay, so other scores that happened last Friday. San Francisco beat UCLA, which was very surprising. UCLA is really talented this year, but the Dons got the better of the Bruins, 6-2. UC Santa Barbara lost to Santa Clara 8-4. Cal Poly shut out Nevada 4-0. San Diego State beat San Diego by a football score of 14-7. Cal Baptist beat Pepperdine 9-1, rounding off last Friday's baseball scores. Last Saturday, we had UC Irvine defeating Washington 5-4, USC defeating LMU 5-0, UCLA beating San Francisco 8-2, Cal State Fullerton beating Utah 3-1, Cal Poly losing to Nevada 2-1, Pepperdine defeating Cal Baptist 10-6, San Diego State beating San Diego in a high-scoring affair, winning 19-18, rounding off last Saturday's baseball scores. On Sunday, we had UCLA losing to San Francisco in the rubber match 8-3. We had LMU salvaging one game in the rubber match against USC, winning 9-8 in 11 innings. We had UC Irvine beating Washington 5-4. We had Cal State Fullerton trouncing Utah 15-1. We had UC Santa Barbara defeating Santa Clara 9-6. We had Cal Poly losing in 10 innings to Nevada 11-8. We had Cal Baptist taking the rubber match against Pepperdine 6-2. And we had San Diego salvaging one win against their older brethren, San Diego State, winning by a score of 16-12. On Monday, we had Cal State Fullerton dropping a heartbreaker to Utah, losing 6-5. We had UC Irvine breaking out the brooms and completing the sweep over Washington, winning 3-1. We had UC Santa Barbara winning the rubber match against Santa Clara, winning 5-4. And rounding up last Monday's scores, we had Cal Poly losing to Nevada 12-6. Last Tuesday, we had UCLA bouncing back and beating LMU 5-2. So those were all of last week's scores. There were no scores on Wednesday and Thursday. There are going to be games today, but those are going to be the games that are going on this week from now all the way till Thursday. So the Southern California baseball games, collegiate baseball games that are going on from now all the way till next Thursday are, starting today, we have Cal Poly at USC, UC Irvine at UCLA, LMU hosting Utah, UC San Diego at San Diego State, UC Santa Barbara at Pepperdine, Cal State Fullerton at San Diego, Cal State Bakersfield traveling to Fresno State, Cal Baptist hosting St. Mary's rounds off all of the collegiate baseball games from Southern California for today. Saturday, we have UCLA at UC Irvine, Cal Poly at USC, LMU hosting Utah, Pepperdine at UC Santa Barbara in a doubleheader, UC San Diego at San Diego State, Cal State Fullerton at San Diego, Cal State Bakersfield traveling to Fresno State, and Cal Baptist taking on St. Mary's in a doubleheader. Sunday, we have Cal Poly at USC, LMU hosting Utah, UC Irvine at UCLA, UC Santa Barbara at Pepperdine, San Diego State at UC San Diego in a doubleheader, Cal State Fullerton at San Diego, Cal State Bakersfield traveling to Fresno State for the final matchup of the series, Cal Baptist hosting St. Mary's in the final match of the series, and those round up Sunday's games. On Tuesday, we have Cal State Fullerton traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Bruins of UCLA. We also have LMU traveling to Irvine to face UC Irvine, and Cal Poly travels to St. Mary's to face St. Mary's of Northern California. And then on next Thursday, we have San Diego at UC San Diego in the Battle of the San Diego teams. And that is all of the San Diego matchups from now all the way till next Thursday. And that was your recap of last week's games all the way down to yesterday's games. So let's go to some softball action. So softball, I actually missed this score from last week, but San Diego State beat San Diego 8-1 in game, or 8-0 in game 1, and they also beat San Diego 1-0 in game 2. So good, complete shutout effort on both ends for San Diego State. So last Friday, we had, from the softball side of things, we had Cal Baptist defeating Utah 5-3, but then UNLV got the better of Cal Baptist, winning 2-0. And then Saturday, we had Cal Baptist losing twice to Weber State, losing 6-1 and losing 5-1 in the doubleheader. Cal Baptist also lost to Utah 14-7, which is a football score. And elsewhere, we had Pacific beating UC Santa Barbara, falling to Pacific 6-5 in both games, surprisingly enough. And then in the doubleheader between San Diego State and UC Davis, San Diego State took the first game 10-4, while they took the second game 3-1 over the Aggies of UC Davis. We also had a doubleheader between UCLA and Cal State Fullerton. UCLA won both games by scores of 6-4 and 6-2 and 10-4, rounding off last Saturday's games. Last Sunday, we had quite the eventful games as UCLA defeated LMU 6-1. We also had San Diego State defeating UC Davis 7-0, completing the sweep over the Aggies of UC Davis. Good job to San Diego State. You also had UC San Diego defeating Grand Canyon in the first of the doubleheader by a score of 6-5 in 11 innings. But then Grand Canyon got the better of UC San Diego, beating the Tritons 6-4. We also had UC Santa Barbara falling to Fresno State 10-5, and Cal Baptist getting swept by Weber State, losing their final game against Weber State 5-1. On Monday, we had Cal State Fullerton beating San Diego 3-1 in Game 2. Or in Game 1. In Game 2, we had San Diego getting the better of the Titans, winning 1-0. And then on Wednesday, we had Cal Baptist defeating Cal State Fullerton 9-5. And rounding off all the collegiate softball scores in Southern California, we had UCLA trouncing and handing San Diego State their first loss of the season, beating them 14-0 in 5 innings. And in that game, UCLA pitcher Megan Faraimo, I hope I'm not mispronouncing it, she threw a perfect game, which is the 19th perfect game in UCLA history. Let's give her a round of applause. So those are all of your collegiate Southern California baseball or softball scores from last week. The up-and-coming softball games for this week involving the collegiate Southern California schools are, starting today, we have Cal Baptist versus Santa Clara and Cal Baptist at Cal. We also have San Diego State hosting Washington in a doubleheader. UC Santa Barbara traveling to San Diego to take on the Toreros in a doubleheader. We have Cal Baptist traveling to Boise State to play in a doubleheader, rounding off all of the softball games for today. Tomorrow we have Cal Baptist versus Cal, and we also have Cal Baptist at Stanford. All the games are going to be played at Stanford. All of Cal Baptist's games this weekend are going to be played at Stanford, so just got to get that out of the way. San Diego State hosts Washington. UC Santa Barbara plays at San Diego. UC Riverside travels to play Loyola Marymount, or LMU. Cal State Fullerton hosts Boise State in a doubleheader. Long Beach State plays Sacramento State at Fresno State, and then Long Beach State plays at Fresno State in their second game. On Monday Sunday we have Oregon at UCLA, Cal Baptist at Stanford, closing out that series, and we also have UC Riverside going up to Los Angeles to play LMU in a doubleheader. So that is all the softball games we have going on from now till next Thursday, and that is the recap of all of the Southern California baseball or softball schools on the collegiate level in terms of Division I. So now let's jump to some women's lacrosse. So women's lacrosse, there's only 2 teams, like I mentioned, in women's lacrosse. USC and San Diego in Division I. I could cover all the club teams, but that could make this show a lot longer than expected. So for purposes of we don't want this to be too long, we're just going to cover San Diego State and USC. So last Friday, we had Oregon defeating San Diego State 11-9, and then last Sunday we had Arizona State trouncing the living daylight out of poor San Diego State 23-10. Ouch, oh Rama. And then this game was actually added for USC. USC actually was supposed to play New Hampshire, but they canceled that. So USC added a game against Stony Brook, and Stony Brook took it to USC as they beat the Trojans 15-3. So that was a tough loss for the Trojans. So the up-and-coming games for San Diego State and USC. Today we have USC playing Boston College. And then on Sunday we have San Diego State going up north to Northern California to face Cal. So that's all your women's lacrosse news for San Diego State and USC. Now let's jump to some men's water polo action. We have LMU defeating. Last Friday we had LMU defeating San Jose State 15-6. We had Pepperdine defeating San Jose State 13-10. We had Cal Baptist beating Fresno Pacific 23-9, rounding off last Friday's men's water polo collegiate Southern California scores. That's a mouthful. Last Saturday, we had UCLA edging Stanford at Stanford 11-10. We had Cal defeating USC 10-7. and we had USC losing to Stanford 15-9. We also had Pepperdine defeating San Jose State again, 17-10. And then last Sunday we had UCLA getting edged by Cal, 16-15, and we had USC defeating UCLA 9-4, while Pepperdine defeated LMU 19-7. So up and coming games for this week, and I put question marks by these because I don't know if they're actually going to get played. Air Force and Pepperdine are slated to face one another, while Pepperdine and Loyola Marymount are slated to also face one another. I don't know if that's fully confirmed because the LMU site says LMU is going to be playing in their little conference tournament that's going to be happening next week, but I'm not certain. I'll have to reconfirm this next week. But all I know is that Pepperdine will be playing Air Force if that is possible. USC and UCLA are off this week. Next week they play in the MPSF, or the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Conference Tournament, which could make or break any teams this season, especially since I'm pretty sure the playoff field is going to be very thin considering the Big West teams are not in it, such as Long Beach State, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, etc. So, those are all the men's water polo scores and the recap for all the men's water polo scores. For women's water polo, last week we had UC San Diego edging San Diego State 9-8 in triple overtime. Triple overtime. I believe that was basically 3 sudden deaths. So, if not, it was basically 1 sudden death after the first 2 weren't decided, so there's that. Anyway, last Saturday we had UC Irvine defeating San Diego State in the first of a doubleheader, 14-6, and then the second of the doubleheader we had UC Irvine defeating San Diego State again, 9-6. Cal Baptist struggled against Arizona State in their doubleheader, losing 15-3 in the first game and then 23-9 in the second game. So, poor Lady Lancers, we're sorry you lost. So, this week's women's water polo games include, starting today, UCLA at UC Irvine and USC at Arizona State. On Saturday, which is tomorrow, we have Cal Baptist at UC San Diego in a doubleheader, and we have USC at Arizona State, along with USC versus Michigan at Arizona State in the Arizona Clash in the Desert, or Arizona State Clash in the Desert. We also have UC Santa Barbara taking on San Diego State in a doubleheader as well. So there's that. So those are all of your women's water polo scores from last week, and those are all of the women's water polo scores that are coming up, or the women's water polo games that are happening this week. So, men's soccer, not too much to go over in terms of Southern California, as as last Saturday we had San Diego State and UCLA tying 1-1, while Cal Baptist tied with UT Rio Grande Valley 0-0 as they played at Irvine Great Park, which is cool. So the up-and-coming men's soccer matches for the Southern California collegiate teams. Tomorrow we have UCLA at Oregon State. We have San Diego State hosting Stanford. And then on Sunday we have San Diego at Pacific, Loyola Marymount at Santa Clara, and Cal Baptist traveling to play Houston Baptist. And I should say Loyola Marymount is traveling to Santa Clara, while San Diego is traveling to Pacific. I don't know what's going on with Pepperdine, but I'll probably just put it in the recap for next week. So there's that for all the men's soccer scores for this week or from last week, and then this week's up-and-coming games. So as for women's soccer, we have Pepperdine last Friday we had Pepperdine falling to Stanford 2-1, and then apparently Santa Clara and Pepperdine was postponed on Saturday, so then Stanford and Pepperdine can play last Friday, so I guess that's fair play. Anyway, last Saturday we had Loyola Marymount defeating Portland 2-1, and I don't know what happened with BYU and San Diego, but we also had Cal Baptist defeating Dixie State 2-0 this past Saturday, which was some good stuff as always. So this upcoming week we have starting today we have UCLA taking on Arizona. We have USC at Arizona State. Tomorrow we have San Diego at Loyola Marymount, Pepperdine at St. Mary's, Cal Baptist at Seattle, and San Diego State does not have a game. However, they were picked to win the Mountain West Conference, which is some cool stuff right there, and I hope they can do so. That would be really cool to see San Diego State winning the Mountain West Conference, the Mountain West Conference Championship, as I guess BYU and San Diego had their match postponed or canceled. It's not on their website, and it wasn't on the West Coast Conference's website as well. So yeah, and it's not even in their news feed. So yeah, it must have gotten postponed or something. So oh well. That's all I gotta say about that. So that's pretty much gonna do it for all the women's soccer games in terms of the Southern California collegiate sports scene in Division I. College swim and dive. Last Saturday we had LMU defeating Pepperdine 147-105. Pepperdine defeating Westmont 160-71, and we had LMU trouncing Westmont 197-57. There are no meets this week. Or there are no team meets this week, but there are just like conference meets. It's like conference championship meets and whatnot. So not meat as in edible meat. It's like meat as in you meet with one another. It's like basically like a conference championship or whatnot. I'll try to like figure it out how to go forward with that, because I still want to make note of college swim and dive, but it's tricky, honestly. So especially in the individual performances. So we'll see how it goes. So that's it for college swim and dive. In women's tennis, regarding the Southern California women's tennis collegiate scene, we had last Friday we had Hawaii defeating UC Irvine 7-0. Last Saturday we had USC defeating San Diego 6-1. I don't know what happened with Cal and UCLA. That's disappointing that they didn't get their match in. Maybe they postponed it or they canceled it. I honestly don't know. But we also had a cancellation from last week in terms of women's tennis, as Cal State Fullerton canceled their game against San Diego State, which really stinks. I was kind of looking forward to that, but I'm sad-faced now. So last Saturday we had UCLA falling to Cal 3-4, which is disappointing. I don't know how I missed that one, but it is what it is. So, c'est la vie. Good try, UCLA. Last Sunday we had UC Santa Barbara falling to Cal 6-1. We had Cal Poly throttling Fresno Pacific 7-0, rounding off last Sunday's scores. On Monday, we had San Diego beating Hawaii and San Diego 7-0. And then on Wednesday, we had Cal State Fullerton edging UC Irvine 4-3. The up-and-coming women's tennis matches from Southern California include, starting today, UC San Diego at San Diego, Oklahoma at Pepperdine also round off today's scores. And also, I forgot about this. I forgot about UCLA at USC. And unfortunately, spoiler alert, and I don't really do this, UCLA beat USC. So I'm sorry to all the Trojans fans out there. Anyway, tomorrow we have Cal Poly traveling to Sacramento State. We have Cal State Fullerton traveling to Point Loma. We have LMU traveling to the Bayou to face LSU. And that rounds up all of tomorrow's women's tennis up-and-coming games. On Sunday, we have UC Irvine at San Diego State, and we have Cal Poly at UC Davis. And then on Wednesday, we have Cal State Fullerton playing Azusa Pacific at home on Wednesday. So those are all of your women's tennis scores and up-and-coming games from now till Thursday. In terms of men's tennis, last Friday we had Pepperdine edging Cal Poly 4-3. We had LMU edging Fresno State 4-3. We had San Diego losing to Arizona State 5-2. And then last Saturday we had USC defeating Oklahoma State 4-0. And we also had San Diego defeating St. Mary's 6-1, while UCLA defeated LMU 4-1 last Saturday. Last Sunday we had UC Irvine defeating Fresno State 5-2, while Pepperdine surprisingly beat Pepperdine defeated UCLA 5-2, rounding off last Sunday's games. And then on Wednesday, we had UCLA getting back on track, defeating UC Santa Barbara 6-1, which rounds up all of last week's men's tennis games from the Southern California collegiate area. In terms of this week's Southern California college tennis matches, we have, starting today, we have UC San Diego at San Diego State in a doubleheader, San Diego traveling to Cal, USC hosting TCU, Pepperdine traveling to UNLV, rounds off today's men's tennis games. Tomorrow we have Cal Poly hosting Santa Clara, LMU traveling to play UC Santa Barbara in a SoCal versus SoCal game, and that rounds off tomorrow's men's tennis games. Sunday we have the ever so crosstown rivalry of USC and UCLA, the ever so well-known rivalry of USC and UCLA. And then we also have UC Irvine playing at San Diego State, while Pepperdine hosts TCU. So that's some games to watch out for. We have on Tuesday, we have UC Riverside hosting Azusa Pacific, and we also have UCLA hosting UNLV. Wednesday, we have LMU at San Diego in some West Coast Conference action, and on Thursday, or next Thursday, we have USC at Pepperdine for a SoCal versus SoCal matchup, while UC Riverside travels to Fresno Pacific to take on Fresno Pacific. So those are all of your men's tennis scores from last week and all of your up-and-coming men's tennis matches from now all the way till next Thursday. So that's pretty much all the college news I have for all the miscellaneous sports. We're actually going to take ourselves one last commercial break. When we come back, I'll be recapping all of the collegiate men's and women's basketball scores, and then I'll be sending you on your way. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give ya what you want, here to give ya what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back with some more SoCal Supreme Sports Show action. You can check out my boy Marcus Losgreat every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. He always does a great job with gloves off. And also, I know he's not a part of iSports Radio, but definitely do check out the Wait a Minute show with Jelani J.B. Bodie every Wednesday on X Squad Affiliates Network, and then on Saturday at thewaitaminuteshow.com. So, Jelani's show goes on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, while Saturday's show goes on at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. He always does a great job with his show. It's always it really is funny and amazing. And Jelani's just a great overall guy, and you should definitely go check him out. As his boy Lopen would say, indeed. But that's enough of that. So let's get into the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Then I'll send you all on your way because it is almost time for me to dip anyway. So now let's get into some NCAA basketball action. So I've already talked about the Pac-12 in terms of men's basketball, and I've talked about the Mountain West Conference in terms of men's basketball. So we'll just go through men's basketball, and then we'll go to women's basketball in terms of NCAA. And this is just regarding Southern California, obviously. So, as of right now, in terms of the NCAA scores happening right now, we have UC Irvine just trouncing the you-know-what out of UC San Diego, 71-45. Poor UC San Diego. I hope they can make it a little bit more respectable. So, oh well. So, anyway, later on tonight at 7 p.m. we have Cal State Northridge at Cal State Bakersfield. We have UC Santa Barbara at UC Riverside. That game is actually going to be on ESPN2, while Northridge at Bakersfield is going to be on ESPN3. And then at 8:59 p.m. Pacific Time is going to be Long Beach State at Hawaii. So you better pack a lot of coffee or 5-hour energies, because you're going to need it if you're on the Pacific Coast. So anyway, yesterday, like I said, we had... Well, other than USC, San Diego State, and UCLA, we had Loyola Marymount defeating Pepperdine in the PCH Cup 81-74. That was the only game that happened in terms of Southern California collegiate men's basketball in Division I. I do also, now that we're on the topic of the West Coast Conference, I do need to make note that San Diego actually had to put its team on pause. They had to put both women's and men's basketball team on pause because of a COVID. I don't know if it was a COVID outbreak, but it was like COVID protocols. But it was like a positive test result, which really sucks, especially since the season is winding down, and hopefully that doesn't jeopardize their chance of making the West Coast Conference tournament, especially for the women's side of things. So I just gotta give that out right now. Send my condolences to both teams at UC San Diego, or not UC San Diego, University of San Diego, in terms of the men's and women's basketball teams. So hopefully everything gets squared away. Now back to the other Southern California men's basketball scores. So there weren't any scores on Wednesday. On Tuesday, we had San Diego falling to Pacific 77-67. That was the only Southern California men's collegiate basketball score in Division I. On Monday, like I said, we had USC defeating Oregon 72-58. We also had Pepperdine falling to St. Mary's 66-61, and that was that for that night in terms of NCAA collegiate men's basketball in Southern California. On Sunday, we had no games regarding Southern California collegiate teams. On last Saturday, we had San Diego getting throttled by number 1 Gonzaga 106-69. I already talked about USC losing to Arizona 81-72. San Diego State trounced Fresno State 75-57. Loyola Marymount got blown out by BYU 88-71. Pepperdine got edged by Santa Clara 86-82. Long Beach State beat Cal Poly 74-69. And surprisingly enough, UC San Diego defeated UC Riverside 83-82 in overtime. So good win for the Tritons. Good win. Now, in another shocker from the Big West Conference, we had Cal State Fullerton defeating UC Irvine 67-64. We also had Cal Baptist edging Grand Canyon 65-62. And we also had UCLA edging Arizona State 80-79. We had UC Santa Barbara trouncing Cal State Bakersfield 63-44, rounding up all of last week's Southern California Collegiate men's basketball scores. Last Friday, we had Long Beach State edging Cal Poly 64-60. We had UC Riverside squeaking by UC San Diego 81-75. We had Cal Baptist falling at Grand Canyon 71-61. We had UC Irvine beating Cal State Fullerton 89-78. We had UC Santa Barbara edging Cal State Bakersfield 71-66. And those were all of your Southern California men's basketball games from last week. So looking at the games for this week, starting with tomorrow, we have San Diego State at Boise State. Like I said, that's a crucial game. We have Pepperdine traveling to San Diego, though I don't know if that's going to be played because of San Diego's COVID situation. We also have Vanguard University, which is in my neck of the woods, traveling to play Cal Baptist, which, well, I don't mean to say this in a negative way for Vanguard. I love Vanguard, and I like how it's close to nearly where I live, but Cal Baptist is going to have fun with that matchup. Anyway, back to the other games to look forward to tomorrow. We have UC San Diego at UC Irvine, number 19 USC at Utah. We have Loyola Marymount at Gonzaga, UCLA at Colorado, UC Santa Barbara at UC Riverside, Long Beach State at Hawaii. That's actually going to be played at 7 p.m. Pacific time, so it's a little bit of an earlier start time. You certainly won't need to stay up late. And then rounding off tomorrow's games to watch for in terms of Southern California, we have Cal State Northridge at Cal State Bakersfield. Tomorrow we do not have any, or Sunday we do not have any Southern California men's basketball games to look forward to. Monday is the same deal. Tuesday is the same deal. Wednesday, like I said, we have UCLA at Oregon, crucial match right there in the Pac-12. And we also have Stanford at USC, which is another crucial match right there for both Stanford and USC. So those are two crucial matchups from the Pac-12 and from Southern California. And then on Thursday, we do not have any other games going on. We don't have anything going on in terms of Southern California because the season's winding down. Friday, we have UC Riverside at Cal State Northridge, UC Irvine at Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton at UC San Diego, Cal Poly at UC Santa Barbara, Cal Baptist hosting Seattle, and that's that. And I guess it's worth noting that next Saturday we have USC at UCLA, which is going to be on CBS, which is annoying. We have UC Riverside at Cal State Northridge, UC Irvine at Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton at UC San Diego, Cal Poly at UC Santa Barbara, Cal Baptist hosting Seattle, and those round up next week's men's basketball games to look forward to. So now let's jump into the standings for the NCAA men's collegiate basketball teams from Southern California. And I'm saying a mouthful right there. So if I could find the West Coast Conference, that is the first conference I'll be going over. And here is the West Coast Conference. So West Coast Conference in terms of men's basketball, we have LMU in third place at 7-4. They are 5.5 games behind Gonzaga, and they are 1.5 games behind BYU. We also have Pepperdine at 6-6 in the conference. And they are 7. And in terms of overall records, Pepperdine is 7-5 overall, and LMU is 8-3 overall. San Diego is. Actually, no, I'm reading this wrong. Pepperdine is 10-11 overall, and then LMU is 12-7. San Diego, on the other hand, is 2-6 in the conference, while they're 3-9 overall. And I don't know what's going to happen to them in terms of the West Coast Conference tournament. Maybe they'll drop out, maybe they'll still be in, who knows. I hope they can still play because they need to send their seniors off with some sort of game. I'm just saying, y'all. So that's that for the West Coast Conference standings. Gonzaga is obviously dominating everybody, which is no surprise to everyone else. So there is that right there. So now let's jump to Cal Baptist's neck of the woods in the Western Athletic Conference, if I can find it. Okay, here it is. Here's Cal Baptist. Here's the Western Athletic Conference. So to everyone's surprise, except not really, we have Cal Baptist at 5-5 in the conference. They are in 4th place behind Utah Valley, who is 6-3 in the conference, Grand Canyon, who is 7-1 in the conference, and UT Rio Grande Valley at 2-0. Which when was the last time this team played a game? Well, they're playing right now, but their games against Seattle got canceled. Their game against Cal Baptist got postponed. Their game against Grand Canyon got postponed. I don't know how they're going to make these games up as the season is coming down to its climax. Anyway, so Cal Baptist is 11-8 overall. Pretty sure that's going to be 12-8 by the time next week rolls around. And many people are going to say, "Oh, you're being a hater toward Vanguard." Well, Cal Baptist laid waste to my Long Beach State beach, so don't feel too bad. You know what I mean? Anyway, now let's jump to the Big West Conference, which is probably the most dramatic of all the conferences. That's not named the Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference. Anyway, in the Big West Conference, we have UC Santa Barbara ahead at 10-2, while UC Irvine trails UC Santa Barbara by 2 games as they are 8-4. UC Riverside is 5-3, while Bakersfield is 8-6. Long Beach State is 4-4. Fullerton is 5-7. Northridge is 5-6. Cal Poly is 1-12, while UC San Diego is 0-1, which that is glitched if I've ever seen it. They should have at least one conference win. Anyway, in terms of overall records, UC Santa Barbara is 16-3, UC Irvine is 12-8, UC Riverside is 10-6, Bakersfield is 14-9, Long Beach State is 5-7, Cal State Fullerton is 6-7, while Cal State Northridge is 8-9, Cal Poly is 3-16, and UC San Diego is 5-8. I guess it's also worth noting that Hawaii is 8-8, UC Davis is 7-6, and that is that for the Big West Conference and all of the Southern California collegiate men's basketball scores and games to come. So now let's look at the women's side of things, and then we shall call it a night. As for the scores going on right now, we have poor USC. UCLA is trouncing USC 43-23. There's not going to be a miracle upset this year. I'm sorry to all the USC fans, but UCLA is really good. Well, USC is just having a somewhat of a season to forget. And please, USC fans, don't say, "Oh, this guy's a hater." No, UCLA is good this year. Leave me alone. Okay, anyway, we have UC Santa Barbara also ahead of UC Riverside at halftime. UC San Diego leading UC Irvine 36-31, while Santa Barbara leads UC Riverside 37-23. And I'm surprised these games actually happened. So Long Beach State fell to Hawaii, which makes me sad face, 77-75. Surprised that game actually happened already. So anyway, we also had San Diego State edging Boise State 74-72. We had Cal Poly losing to UC Davis in a crucial Big West Conference matchup, 63-47. And those are all of your scores going on right now, or that have gone on today. So yesterday we had poor Pepperdine getting trounced by Gonzaga, 95-49. We had LMU losing to Portland, 73-63. Those are all of your Southern California collegiate women's basketball scores from yesterday. Wednesday we did not have any of that sort, and Tuesday we did not have any of that sort. Monday, we had poor San Diego getting edged by Pacific, 67-65. I thought they were going to win that game for sure, but unfortunately, it was not meant to be. Sorry, Toreros. Hopefully, they still get a chance in the West Coast Conference tournament. So on Sunday, now Sunday was the surprising day of all days, as both Pac-12 teams from Southern California lost, as UCLA, the number 8 team at the time, lost to Oregon State 71-64, while USC got the brakes beaten off of them, losing to number 13 Oregon 72-48. We also had San Diego State getting trounced by Fresno State 82-61. Ouch-o Rama. So there's that right there in terms of last Sunday's women's basketball scores from Southern California on the collegiate side. Last Saturday, we had San Diego getting beaten by Gonzaga 69-47. We had San Diego State edging Fresno State 79-77. We had Cal Baptist defeating Grand Canyon 79-64. We had Pepperdine defeating St. Mary's 62-42, which was awesome. Biggest win of the year for Pepperdine. We also had Cal Poly winning off of a game-winning three-pointer against Long Beach State, 45-42. My heart breaks for Long Beach State. I'm just kidding. In a non-biased fashion. Anyway, we also had UC San Diego defeating UC Riverside, 74-67. And we also had UC Irvine defeating Cal State Fullerton 68-60. Oh yeah, and we also had Loyola Marymount losing to Pacific 73-69. So last Friday we had UCLA dominating Oregon, beating them 83-56. We also had Cal Baptist edging Grand Canyon in overtime, winning 81-77. We had Cal Poly beating Long Beach State 55-44. We had poor USC getting trounced by Oregon State 77-52. We had Santa Barbara defeating Bakersfield 77-63. We had UC San Diego completing the sweep over UC Riverside, winning 63-59. Good for the Tritons. First year as a Division I program. We are so proud of you. And we also had UC Irvine defeating Cal State Fullerton and completing the sweep over the Lady Titans, beating them 71-58, rounding off last week's women's basketball scores. And I also should make note of this, that Cal Baptist is still undefeated, which is absolutely amazing, but they are not ranked. This is a disgrace. More importantly, Cal Baptist has won the Western Athletic Conference. They are officially regular season champions. Congratulations, Cal Baptist women's basketball. Here is your applause button. Alright, so yeah, that's amazing right there, and I don't get why Cal Baptist is not ranked. West Coast biased. I'm kidding. Alright, so we're going to try to finish this off as soon as possible. Tomorrow's games regarding Southern California collegiate sports teams include Loyola Marymount at Gonzaga, Pepperdine at Portland, Cal Poly traveling to UC Davis to take on UC Davis, Long Beach State hosting Hawaii, UC Santa Barbara hosting, UC Santa Barbara hosting UC Riverside, UC Irvine at UC San Diego at Santa Clara, and that is that for Saturday's women's college basketball games from Southern California. Sunday, we have San Diego State at Boise State, which is the only Southern California women's Southern California collegiate women's basketball game going on. Yeah, that's a mouthful, honestly. Monday, there are no games. Tuesday, there are no games. Wednesday, there are no games involving Southern California women's collegiate basketball teams. Thursday, we have San Diego State hosting Utah State, but that is the only game going on in terms of the NCAA women's collegiate basketball Southern California teams. I need to get that down pat for some odd reason. Next Friday, we have UC San Diego at Cal State Fullerton, Cal Baptist at traveling to Seattle, UC Santa Barbara at Cal Poly, Long Beach State at UC Irvine, and that is that. for next Friday's games. Next Saturday, we have the same teams, UC San Diego at Cal State Fullerton, Cal Baptist traveling to Seattle, Long Beach State at UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara at Cal Poly, and those are your games. And those are your games to look forward to from now all the way till next Saturday in terms of Southern California. So I won't really go over the Pac-12, as the Pac-12 has been decided. The winner of the Pac-12 is Stanford, and since they're not in Southern California, we won't give them an applause button, but we'll give them a brief applause. Okay, we're not going to give them that much of an applause. I'm sorry. I'm a jerk, but I had to. I'm having fun here. Anyway, we'll just recap the Pac-12 standings where USC and UCLA sit. UCLA is 11-4 in the conference, while USC is 8-9. In terms of overall standings, UCLA is 13-4, while USC is 10-10, soon to be 10-11. I'm sorry, USC fans, don't hate me. So there's that right there. In terms of Cal Baptist, like I said, Cal Baptist has won the Western Athletic Conference. They are 12-0, and they are currently 20-0 at the moment. And still, I just don't understand why they're not ranked. To be undefeated at this time is so freaking difficult. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, now let's jump to the Mountain West Conference, as San Diego State is third to last, as they are 5-11 in conference, while they are 7-15 overall. So that is the Mountain West Conference. Let us jump to the West Coast Conference, if I can find it. There it is. So in the West Coast Conference, we have San Diego at 9-5 in the conference, while LMU is tied for second to last at 4-13, while Pepperdine is 2-15. In terms of overall records, San Diego is 12-7, still hoping they can get played this season. LMU is 5-17, while Pepperdine is 5-16. Poor PCH teams. I feel for them. Their time will shine one day. Just you wait, people. I'm just getting excited and getting riled up. So, rounding off all the women's NCAA collegiate basketball conferences, we have the Big West Conference. So UC Davis is in firm control of the conference, as they are 7-0 in the conference, which UC Davis isn't a Southern California team, so I still have to bring it up, though. So there's that. UC Irvine is 8-1. Long Beach State is 10-5. Cal Poly is 7-6, along with Bakersfield. UC Riverside is 4-6. UC San Diego is 4-7. UC Santa Barbara is 4-8, and Cal State Fullerton is 1-13. In terms of overall records, we have UC Irvine at 11-6. Long Beach State at 11-6, Cal Poly at 11-8. We have Cal State Bakersfield at 9-8. We have UC Riverside at 7-9, UC San Diego at 4-7, UC Santa Barbara at 4-12, Cal State Fullerton at 2-16, and then Cal State Northridge opted out, so our best goes out to them. But that is going to do it for all of the NCAA women's basketball games to look forward to, and NCAA women's basketball scores from last week. And that is going to do it for tonight's show. I know we are nearing 2 hours of this show, but thank you all for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. It is greatly appreciated. And without any further delay, it is time to get on out of here, because it is almost dinner time, my dudes and dudettes. Thank you all once again for tuning into the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors once again, Legacy Financial, the Sports Rundown, and Mama's Always Right Media. Don't go anywhere. In about 1 hour, we have Larry B and his girlfriend Cecilia going on with the sports couple perspective. For everyone here on IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. Have yourselves a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves some Southern California sports action. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace and blessings, y'all. And I shall see you Monday. Yes, Monday I'll be doing set points. Yeah, I changed my day because of some other things that's happening in my life, but it's no big deal. Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be doing set points. See you then. Peace, y'all.